Done with Saw 3, and now we're moving on to Saw 4. And this is the only Saw movie in the Saw franchise that I actually own on Blu-ray, because all the other movies I own on DVD. I'm really glad I watched this movie on Blu-ray because it looks fucking amazing. Like, as far as picture quality goes and sound quality, like the sound in this movie, watching it with surround sound, the movie sounds like unreal. Like, it's like the tiniest of sounds in this movie, like you can hear through a surround sound system. This may be my favorite in the franchise after rewatching it. I'm debating on whether or not Saw 2 or Saw 4 has the better twist ending, because those two are really, like, those two are so close to each other that it's crazy. So I do not know which one I like more. I might like this one a bit more because this is such a unique twist ending for a horror movie. The movie in general, something that I don't see many movies doing nowadays, where it's not a sequel, it's not a prequel, but it actually takes place during the events of the previous movie, like it's happening at the same time. Like, that is genius. Like, and I think this movie, like, when you watch it, there are certain clues throughout it. There is certain little clues in the background, if you notice them, where it's taking place at the same time as Saw 3. Every time I watch this movie, which I've seen this movie, Saw 2 and Saw 4 are probably my most watched installments in this franchise. Each time I watch this, the twist ending, it gets better upon each viewing, because so much makes sense if you're comparing it to Saw 3. I'll praise the twist ending more when I talk about towards the end of this review, because I have 2 pages of notes to talk about. So yeah, let's get into it. So Saw 4, this movie starts off with an autopsy scene where we see John Kramer's body, because as you know, at the end of Saw 3, John Kramer died. And like, I love this opening, like, not only because like the practical effects like look amazing, but also just like seeing the condition of John Kramer's like dead body, and actually kind of getting an inside look at it. Since he had like cancer, you can really like the attention to detail on his body is incredible, and so even some leftover details from Saw 3, like it's just like it's amazing. And yeah, the practical effects on the brain and the blood in the autopsy scene looks amazing. Okay, and then the doctors, they discover a tape found inside of John Kramer, which there is a flashback where we see John Kramer swallow a tape. Which, how is that possible? Like, that's my question. On the way down, how did it not get stuck? Because your body is so closed in, and our body, like, okay, here's the thing, like, our bodies, like, we can dissolve foods and liquids, but tapes, like, there's no way that is possible. So I don't know how he did it. Like, how is the human body how is it even capable of doing that? Like, it's just it would be too big. Like, yeah, like I don't understand it, but sure. But yeah, sure. Like, you know what? Yeah, like I'll go along with it. Like, yeah, John Kramer has done some crazy stuff in his time. So yeah, I'll go along with it. So yeah, the doctors contact Detective Hoffman. So yeah, Detective Hoffman was introduced in Saw 3, and he has a much bigger role in this movie. In the next movie, he's going to have an even bigger one. Due to the twist ending. Basically, when Detective Hoffman, when he looks at this tape and he plays it, basically John Kramer, he's just saying how his work and legacy, how it will live on long after he is dead. Because as we know from Saw 2, he has apprentices. He has apprentices that he has hired who have survived and been through his traps. And then we cut to our opening trap in this movie, which is no sound versus no sight. The concept of this kill, like, I absolutely love. I think this is one of the only traps in this movie where someone actually makes it out, like, especially in the sequels, because, like, everybody's so used to, the people who are in the traps will fail. The opening scene of Saw 4 proves that like, if you are committed to live, like, you can get out. This trap is, it's not overly complicated. It plays with our main two sources of communication, like eyes and sound. So yeah, like, I really liked how they kind of, like, I really liked how they kind of brought that into this trap. And what was it? And since, like, that's always been, like, a big part, like, of the traps in this franchise, is where you have to communicate with someone else, especially in 5, and, like, to use them against you, to make them your weakness. Like, I found it for a really interesting and a great, effective opening trap for this movie. We see Detective Hoffman and his team investigate the aftermath of Allison's death from the previous movie, the Angel death, and, like, the practical effects in this scene, like, man, like, that, they look just as good as they did in the movie. And if you saw my Saw 3 review, like, I praised the practical effects on that kill, because, like, they look really good, and they look just as good in here as they did in Saw 3. And then we get our first appearance of Detective Strom. So yeah. And then John Kramer. Okay, John Kramer owned a company as we learned in this movie. He owned a company named Urban Renewal. This is where John planned and built all of his traps that we know from this franchise. Because when we go back to the urban renewal, when we go back to the warehouse, like, in the flashbacks, we see all these blueprints, like, laying around, and photos of future victims. One in particular, which I have coming up. But yeah, that's the other thing I love about Saw 4, is I love the flashbacks in this movie. Bit more information about John Kramer's backstory and his early life, and you really get more inside of his head for his motivation for why he's doing what he's doing, and you learn where he got the "Cherish Your Life" motto from. So yeah, that's one of the reasons for why I love Saw 4. Is I love when a horror movie, both a single file and in a franchise, like, when it goes back and it actually cares to kind of fill in those spots, and it makes the villain more grounded, and he's not just doing this for the sake of doing it. He actually, like, something happened in his life that made him like this, that made him kind of cherish his life and make other people cherish their life as well, and kind of share that lesson around through a similar way that he had to do. Because as we learned in Saw 4, John Kramer, he was in a car crash, like, due to depression, due to finding out that he was diagnosed with cancer, which more of that is explained in this movie. And it's just, yeah, like, I think, I love this movie because it goes back before the first movie, and kind of clears up like those little subplots, and makes you makes you kind of know John Kramer, like, as the person he was before he got the name Jigsaw. I'll bring that up again in this review, because that is a big part, especially when Jill comes into play in the story of this movie. There are a few flashbacks where they're investigating Jill, and they're asking her information, like, about what she knows about Jigsaw, since Jill is John Kramer's wife. And there's some really interesting backstory and lore to this franchise, which I loved. But yeah, like I said, I'll get into that. And then we see Officer Riggs. He gets captured, as well as Hoffman. We find out in this movie that Detective Matthews is still alive because it was unclear. But yeah, I always knew that he was still alive. But yeah, and so yeah, he's still alive, and we find out like what happened to him over these 6 months because he has been missing for 6 months, and so yeah, the movie clears up through flashbacks like we see him on the ground useless and unable to move, and so Amanda drags him into this like cell or dungeon of sorts, and feeds him a very minimal amount of food because he has to lose weight in order for this trap to work, and he also grows older. Like when you see him, he has a lot more like hair on him, and like that's due to that's due to the condition that he's the harsh conditions that he has been living in for these 6 months. And again, and then when we see him in this movie, he almost looks unrecognizable. And then our next trap is what is it now? Our next trap is the hair trap, which this trap looked amazing on Blu-ray. Like watching this like in 1080p, like seriously, man, like this death is incredible. And this death is okay. So imagine having your hair pulled like by your friend, but 100 times worse. This trap is painful to watch, and oh man, it's fun. This is like I said, this is another movie where like it's possible to get out of the trap, and she does get out of the trap, but then after she gets out, she starts freaking out and going against Officer Riggs, which he helped her in the first place. I don't understand, but I mean I understand that she is worried, she's not sure like what's going on. So that would be a common body reaction, but using a knife as force as the person who just saved you, like man, like that is a dog move. I don't understand like where she's coming from when she tried to defend herself, but seriously, if I'm being honest here, like if you saw a guy try to save your life and knowing that he's not the one who put you there because he's saving you, I don't think the person who put you there would help you get out. So I mean, it's yeah. I mean, I can kind of like say I can kind of understand her reasoning and for protecting herself, but like when Officer Riggs is the one who clearly got her out of the trap. Um, it's yeah, I don't know. It's a shitty move to go against the guy like who just helped you from death. So yeah, yeah, and then we learn later on, which I've already said, that Detective Matthews was held for 6 months. Introduction to John Comer's wife, Jill. Yeah, so now yeah, this is the part of the movie where Jill becomes a big part in the investigation aspect, where Detective Strom is investigating Jill at what she knows about Jigsaw and about like what his plan is and if he has any other like apprentices, and just kind of learning. This is where we learn a lot about their relationship, like in their early lives, before everything like went to shit, as we learn in this movie. So, and then we cut to a flashback of John fixing up his factory. So this is when John has just got the rights to owning this factory, and he owns it now. And yeah, this takes place before the first movie's events, so before anything in the first movie happened. And Jill was pregnant with John. So yeah, at the time that we see Jill in the flashback, she's at least several months pregnant. I want to say maybe like 3-4 months pregnant. And when John is showing like Jill around the factory, we see that he's building a crib for the baby, and it's not quite finished yet, so it's in the middle of construction. And then a few minutes after that, we see Jill's baby was killed in an act of assault by Cecil. Which yeah, that storyline or that scene and that character comes back into play a bit later on in the movie. So I'll get into that in a minute. The motto of Jill's clinic is "Cherish Your Life," which is the same motto John uses for his games. And it's so my understanding of this is the cherish your life, like he's trying to teach a lesson because John was given that chance to survive, like the accident when you see him, like pull that pole out and you see him like crawling through all the glass, and then at the end he has to pull some, and then that was also recapped in this movie, I believe, as well. And so yeah, I like how he has that as his motto, because it reminds him like of Jill and her work, and a lot of the people at her work did end up to be in Jigsaw's game, so I do like that little comparison there. And then we see Jigsaw's first trap in this movie, which like I said, that's another reason why I love these flashbacks. There's just so much detail and depth in John Kramer's early life. But yeah, this is where you see his first trap, which it's a pretty basic trap. And so yeah, you see Cecil, who was the one who killed his wife earlier in the movie. Cecil was a robber and a drug abuser, and that's the reason for why he's in this trap and for why Jigsaw put him there. But also to get revenge on him for what he did to his wife. And the trap that you see here, it isn't it isn't larger than life like it is in a lot of these sequels. It's pretty basic because he's still in very early construction of some of the traps that we see in these sequels. But yeah, basically, Cecil, he has to push his face through these sharp knives, and his hands are bleeding out at the same time. By pushing his face through these sharp knives, he's also freeing himself from the chair as well. And then when he gets free, he runs towards John Kramer, and then John Kramer just moves out of the way, and then he runs into all this barbed wire, which when I saw that scene, I got the vibe that was early construction of the trap that we see in Saw 1, where the guy he's running through all the barbed wire. I feel like maybe that was early concept or in construction of that idea. I'm not sure if it was it could have just been something else, but it looked very similar to the trap in the first movie. But yeah, I could be I could be completely wrong on that. If it is early development of the trap from the first movie, let me know down below. But yeah, it looked very similar. So just to mention some of the other traps in this movie, we have Ivan's trap, which takes place on the bed, where it takes his leg, it takes his arms, and all of that. Ivan's trap, okay. This guy deserved it. His past, there is no way you can come back from that, and he's done something that is absolutely horrific and that has left horrible memories horrible memories on the women that he has done that to. I'm so glad that guy died. And it's that guy was a real bitch. We have Rex's trap where the couple, where they have to pull rods out of them, which I'm also glad this guy died as well, because what he has done, he's been an abusive father to his wife and to his daughter. There's a scene in the movie where she's talking to what was that? I think it was Detective Strom, I believe. Yeah, Detective Strom, because Detective Hoffman was in the trap. So yeah, Detective Strom and Daniel Riggs, where they're talking, and the husband looks over at his daughter, and like tells her to be quiet, like to keep this a secret between them. So yeah, like yeah, this guy is an absolute asshole, and yeah, like this guy deserved to die. Like what he has done to his wife and especially to his daughter, like it's yeah, like there is no exception for that. Like that is not needed. Like nobody should be treated unfairly. So yeah, I'm so glad that guy did die. um, but yeah, it's like yeah, that's the thing about all these traps is the people who are in here, like they deserve to be in here for what their crimes are, and especially what they've done to other people it is horrific. Like I don't know how like how you can even live with yourself, like knowing you are treating others unfairly and knowing that you have like you have raped and chained girls up. Like that is just like that is going way over the line. Like how can you sleep with yourself at night? Like yes, I'm so glad these characters did not make it out of the trap because yeah, they were it's what they did was yeah, it was just horrible. And then we have the twist of this movie, which this is one of my favorite twists in this entire franchise, like hands down. Like I love this twist, as I already said at the start of this review. The twist is one of the main reasons for why I love Saw 4 as much as I do. But then upon watching this viewing, there's just so much in this movie that makes like the first three movies like so good. It just in kind of going back before the first movie and clearing up like those little subplots about who John Kramer is and his earlier life, like fucking fantastic stuff there. Like I love that. So yeah, the first twist of this movie was that it took place at the same time as three, and so yeah, Saw 4 and Saw 3 like they both catch up with each other at the end of this movie, yeah, well, which I find really cool. The second twist is Detective Hoffman actually is Jigsaw's apprentice. So he helped with who did he help with? He helped with Allison's trap and and clearing up the evidence from the crime scene so it wouldn't track back to him. So yeah, that like that twist I love, but does it taking place at the same time. Like there's this second game that took place at the same time of the game that we're seeing in Saw 3. Like man, like that is such a fantastic idea and concept. And like how has that not been done more in horror? Like that is yeah, like that is something that is just so unbelievably awesome. So yeah, that's the twist. And as far as Detective Hoffman being Jigsaw's new apprentice and him kind of proving himself to Jigsaw to to live on his legacy, and to actually like do what he started. Because like what the tape said at the beginning, as I already said, it was about having that one person to continue on his legacy, like to continue on like his life's work and to continue on these test subjects and all that. Yeah, and so now Detective Hoffman will be continuing on with that. So yeah, like man, Saw 4, this is a fantastic sequel. I love this movie. It's yeah, Saw 2 and Saw 4 like are so close to together. But I think Saw 4, just as far as like film quality and the movie as a whole, I think Saw 4 wins that because I think like this movie did such an awesome job, like as far as flashbacks and like and story and just continuing on where Saw 3 left off and kind of and being a part of the events that happened. Like man, I cannot praise this twist enough. And the Blu-ray quality of this movie, man, if you want to watch Saw 4, like watch it in Blu-ray. Like this movie, Saw could not look any better than this. Like this looks incredible in 1080p. And before I end this review, I just wanted to show you the inside of the Blu-ray. Just look how beautiful that is. Like look at how look at the blood. Look at how it shines. That is just awesome. Like I love that. And then you have a shot from the from the hair trap in the movie, like the inside cover of this movie, and how there's like a shine on the Blu-ray disc, like that is awesome. So yeah, but anyways, yeah, that is my review for Saw 4. Like we are slamming through this franchise, guys. Before I end this review, I just want to say thank you for supporting me on this franchise and for as long as you have. It's so good to actually go back and watch these movies and to kind of like know like who is going to be Jigsaw's apprentice, and kind of not going and knowing that and still being surprised like that. Like that just says like how much this franchise has held up, and how like this is a very ballsy franchise compared to like any other like home movie franchise out there, where like as much as its story is complicated, and then it's like it's all over the place, like it all comes together like a jigsaw puzzle. And I feel like that's how they kind of crafted this timeline, is kind of as a jigsaw puzzle, and all the fans, they have to kind of put it back together, and they have to look at it from day one to to the end, and look at everything. Like that's what I love about these movies, and it's just like, oh man, like they are so good. So anyways, yeah, that is my review for Saw 4. Yeah, we are slamming for this franchise, guys. And yeah, I'm excited to move on to Saw 5, even though that's the one I like the least in this franchise, which is a shame. But then we're on to Saw 6 and then Saw 7. So yeah, we are close to wrapping up this franchise. We have a few more movies to get through though. But yeah, anyways, let me know down in the comments, guys. Have you seen Saw 4? What did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you think it was meh? Or did you really not like it? Let me know all your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below. So anyways, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your day, evening or night, and wherever you are. And I'll see you in the next video. Alright, bye.